The ancient Buddhist text known as the Patthana is an exhaustive classification of reality's causal algebra. It lists 24 specific modes of conditionality that govern every possible interaction between mental and physical phenomena. In modern theoretical physics, the E8/CFT correspondence models reality by projecting a 248-dimensional geometric lattice down into a 29-dimensional visible sector. Analysis of these two systems reveals a structural bijection. Each of the 24 ancient causal relations corresponds to a unique mathematical operator within this 29-dimensional geometric framework. This mapping is achieved with 0 additional parameters. Every mathematical object used in the correlation is already a native component of the E8 framework. The causal algebra described in the Abhidhamma functions as a phenomenological reading of the same operator algebra governing the E8 visible sector. To test this correspondence, we must rebuild the geometric model from first principles, beginning with the spatial requirements for a visible universe to exist. The E8 lattice must be projected at exactly 75 degrees to generate the 29-dimensional visible sector and its 210-dimensional shadow counterpart. This specific angle defines every eigenvalue and coupling in the resulting physics. Because this angle is the decisive enabling ground of the entire framework, it provides the mathematical image for upanasaya, the strong dependence condition. Without this geometric ground, the system cannot arise. A shadow leakage parameter, epsilon, connects the visible sector to the 210-dimensional parent. This parameter ensures the visible state always has a base substrate for support. This structural reliance on a hidden base substrate maps to the nasaya, or dependence condition. The base geometry of the universe natively establishes these foundational dependencies before any complex state can manifest. Once the spatial geometry is definitively set, the entire system evolves through time under the discrete heat-kernel operator. The heat-kernel possesses a semigroup property, where the output of one step is precisely the input for the next. This creates a sequence of states with no intervening dynamics. This gapless sequence mirrors the anantara, or proximity condition, where one conscious state immediately conditions the next. When we apply an SVD holonomy lock, we ensure that singular values are preserved across the transition, preventing any spectral information from being lost between steps. This ensures the stream never drops to 0 amplitude, providing the mathematical structure for samanantara, or the condition of seamless contiguity. This suggests that the unbroken stream of consciousness observed in meditation is a consequence of algebraic semigroup continuity. To understand internal interactions, we must analyze the structure of the H29 matrix, which governs the visible sector. The matrix decomposes into 5 spectral blocks. All modes within a single block share the same evolution step, meaning they co-arise and condition each other simultaneously. This simultaneous intra-block coupling maps to sahajata, the condition of connascence. Interaction also occurs across different blocks through off-diagonal coupling terms known as kappa. This allows fundamentally different spectral sectors to influence one another. This cross-block interaction provides the mathematical image for vipayata, the dissociation condition, where mind and matter condition each other precisely because they are different.
For a specific, observable state to be realized from this architecture, a decoherence temporal projector must specifically select an eigenstate. The projection formalism requires a target. Applying the projector to an empty field yields nothing. The operator is structurally dependent on an existing eigenmode. This requirement for a target eigenstate maps to the aramana, or object condition, the principle that consciousness cannot arise without an object. In this framework, the rigid laws of how mind and matter interact are defined by these matrix structures and selection rules. Within the H29 matrix, the mathematical components are split between those that are reversible and those that are not. The first term is the self-adjoint, Hermitian part. It represents exact reciprocity, where the transition amplitude from one mode to another is matched by its conjugate return. This exact reciprocity is the mathematical definition of anyamanya, or the mutuality condition. The second term is non-Hermitian. Evolution under this component is irreversible. It leaves asymmetric traces in the spectral weights that cannot be undone by reversing time. This irreversible spectral deformation provides the geometric signature for kamma, or volitional action, which leaves permanent imprints on the state space. Through a fractal inheritance operator, the system modifies its own weights based on history. Frequently activated pathways have their eigenvalues lowered, making them easier to excite in the future. This mathematical habituation matches the asavana, or repetition condition, where repeated states strengthen the conditions for their own re-arising. Human actions and habits are permanently encoded as irreversible deformations and habituated weights directly within the mathematical structure of the system. Mathematically, a state of suffering is characterized by a highly biased projector, driven by non-Hermitian deformations and reinforced by repetitive habituation loops. The practice of vipassana, or insight, acts as an iterative algorithm to debias this projector. By observing the arising and passing away of states without adding new volitional force, the practitioner systematically attenuates the deformation weights in the inheritance operator. Relaxing these non-Hermitian inputs starves the feedback loop, allowing the geometry of the lattice to return to its baseline symmetry. Meditation is a structural operation to remove distortion from the dimensional lattice. The terminal state of this debiasing process is liberation, where the system reaches its absolute mathematical limit. In this state, the projector becomes strictly symmetry-preserving. Consciousness retreats into the unconditioned center of the system, known as the kernel. Here, the eigenvalue is 0, meaning decay ceases. Consciousness completely decouples from the transient fluctuations of the surrounding visible channels. This exact correspondence between the 24 ancient conditions and the 24 operator structures was found without altering any parameters of the E8 framework. It suggests that the Buddha's analysis of causality and the geometric projection of the E8 lattice describe the same mathematical object from two different vantage points: direct meditative insight and abstract algebraic geometry. The Patthana remains a rigorous record of the operator algebra that governs the causal structure of our reality.